Avon Lake Matters is a bi-weekly podcast about everything that matters to and about Avon Lake. Hi, I'm your host, Jen Miller, and joining us today is Mayor Mark Spaetzel. And so excited to have you back on the program, and now this time as a mayor. But we just wanted to talk to you and get some information and learn about what's going on in the city.
Well, I appreciate being here. I'm glad we have this opportunity to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hitting the ground running for sure. I just had a question. Did you
Sure.
ever, I know you're an Avon Laker,
Yep.
born and raised, did you ever think you'd grow up to be the mayor?
Not in my wildest dreams. It was never on the radar. I grew up wanting to be a police officer. I did that. And, I had no idea what I was going to do when I retired from law enforcement. And, life takes you in funny directions. And here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's been great. The people have been great. The workers have been great. So it's a great experience. And I'm very blessed to be here.
Yeah. I mean, after a month, so much already going on in the city. And that's what I meant by hitting the ground running because, no time to take a breath. Oh, I mean, you take a breath, obviously, but
There's a lot to do.
Yes.
And I'm ready to get going.
yes. So you mentioned that you were a police officer. Can you give us a brief background of
Sure,
what brought
sure.
you to the mayorship?
Well, I'll go back since I've been a lifelong Avon Laker. I graduated from Avon Lake High School in 1982, and at that time I knew I wanted to be a police officer, so I went to college for that, and I was hired by Bay Village Police in 1985. So I was very young when I started with Bay Village Police, so I was able to do almost 35 years with Bay Village Police, retiring as the police chief in 2020. And then after that, I got into the city council.
Yeah.
And that has led me to where I am today. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's and all the experience that you've had, not just as city council representative, but also in law enforcement and the sitting committees that you've been on.
Sure.
For as a council rep, that's all given you the knowledge and experience to be the mayor.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of people in Bay Village as well. I worked for, I think, 5 mayors in Bay Village.
Okay.
And not only did I do my job as a police chief, but I was involved in other city government functions. So I worked very closely with other department heads. So that experience has really played out well here. And I was fortunate enough when I came into Avon Lake as the mayor, having been on council, I had relationships with a lot of employees. So that part, was already there. And that's hard. Developing relationships can take time. So the fact that I was able to do that early on has been very beneficial. And it's been able to make me hit the ground running.
Right,
So, yeah.
absolutely. Also, in addition to a professional, you've also been a member of different organizations here in Avon Lake. So
Yeah.
that helps get a well-rounded experience and
Exactly
knowledge.
right. Yeah, I've been very heavily involved in my church. I've been involved with Kiwanis and other organizations, and you meet all these people, and it's great to meet all these people, and a lot of them cross over different places. So people I knew from church are on commissions and boards, and so forth. So it's been really great.
Yeah, yeah. What prompted you to decide to run for mayor?
I think, some of the things we talked about, being on council was great. I learned an awful lot, and I thank my fellow council people for that. But I've been an administrator my whole life, and so sitting on council where your job is to legislate and appropriate and have some oversight, you get a little frustrated when you can't do things, and I'm a doer, so I wanted to be able to do that, and I think the opportunity presented itself, and I had a lot of great encouragement from friends and family to do it. And once I made that decision, I was 100% in. There was no turning back.
That's great. So as mayor, what is your overall goal?
My overall goal is to make Avon Lake the premier city in Ohio for families. And I think we have the opportunity to do that, both because we have great schools, we got great city services, but our location and the fact that, we don't have all the traffic of an Avon or Westlake. We have the amenities very close by. We have great amenities within our community. And when I was out campaigning, for example, talking to people, I always asked, why did you move to Avon Lake if you weren't for mayor originally? And they said, great schools, safe environment, lower taxes, location. These are things that people move to Avon Lake for. Right. So we want to, support and enhance those and then add things additional onto that and just make it a great community for families to live in.
Yeah, absolutely. Those, I can attest to that. Those were all the decisions or the points that we decided to move to Avon Lake. And we keep growing, and it's obviously a reason why people are moving here.
Yes, very high demand right now.
Yes. When you took office January 1st, there were some positions that needed to be filled.
Yeah, so we had several positions that needed to be filled. Foremost, our Public Works Director, Kevin Brubaker, a great guy, got elected mayor in Elyria, and he's going to do a great job there. But that left an open position in Public Works. Mary Swerk, our HR Director, left to be a councilwoman in Elyria as well. So we have that open position. We are also looking to fill an engineering position. And then we had some administrative positions to fill, as well as positions on boards and commissions. So walking in the door, there was a lot of positions that had to be filled. And even after the election, I started working with the current administration to start the ball rolling to get those done. So we're getting very close to hiring a public works director, probably within the next week or so.
Great.
HR director we're still working on. The engineering has to go through council. We have to approve that as a new department, and then we'll work forward from there to hire an engineer. So it's been a lot of work filling those gaps, but our employees have done a great job. Filling the voids when you have a director missing is challenging, but they've been doing a great job.
Yeah. And for the residents that don't understand the process, so directors of the departments are mayoral appointed.
Mm-hmm.
So with each election, if there's a new mayor, there's a chance that the mayor would choose to bring somebody else in of their choosing.
That's correct.
So when we lost some directors before the mayoral election, it was
Right.
hard to fill a position that you may only be guaranteed employment for 4 months. Is that correct?
That's correct. Even if you go back a year, let's say, that is true, that these are mayoral appointments. And back in May of 23, nobody had any idea who the mayor was going to be. They knew who was running. But to take a position for 9 months, not knowing or less, and not knowing whether you're going to have a job come January 1st, and I understand it. I wouldn't want to do that either. It's too risky. So you have to kind of fill the void until that time when you're ready to make those permanent decisions, which, really are essentially 4-year decisions, but you do a great job, you're sticking around.
Right.
We want to keep you. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So I know that we mentioned hitting the ground running, and there's some topics that are front and center right now. I'd like to talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
First would be the coyote.
Sure.
People are seeing more of them around, and I know the city is doing a lot to educate residents and amp up the resources.
So we've had some unfortunate incidents between coyotes and pets, and coyotes have always been here. They seem to be more prevalent now. We've had a lot of complaints about coyote sightings and hearing coyotes, and they're part of our natural habitat we have in Avon Lake, and they're not unique to Avon Lake. There's coyotes everywhere. There's coyotes in Chicago, Illinois.
Right.
There's coyotes in all urban areas, all suburban areas. So we are seeing more of them, and coyotes serve a purpose in our ecology is in the way that they feed on rodents and small mammals and things like that. So they have a part in the food chain. Again, when we talk about deer, we talk about so many deer because there's no predators and they have an ample food supply. Coyotes is really not that much different. There's really no predators for coyotes. Coyotes are a little different than deer in that if you remove a coyote will come and replace it. So the culling, we'll call it, of deer is one thing, but culling of coyotes is a whole different thing. So we're relying on right now on experts with ODNR and Division of Wildlife to provide us the information on how to deal with the coyote population. And thanks to you and your team, we've been putting out a lot of information on our websites and otherwise to educate the public about coyotes. So from a personal perspective, if you're a resident, you want to avoid having coyotes coming around your home, then you want to eliminate food sources such as leaving pet food out, open compost piles, bird seed. All that will attract coyotes to your area.
Right.
If you do see coyotes in your area, the idea is to scare them away, make it uncomfortable for them to want to come back. They'll remember that, hey, this property, they always yell at me, bang pots, whatever. Make it uncomfortable for them. They will leave. They're afraid of humans. They're afraid of us. They're not afraid of small dogs. So when you're out walking your dog or you let your dog in the back, you want to make sure that you have that dog on a leash, especially between dusk and dawn.
Right.
Because they see that as a rabbit or a squirrel or any other small animal.
Right.
So
right.
you want to be careful with your pets for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also, caution people that even though you have an electric fence, your dog can't get out, but anything else can get in.
That's a good point.
That's a concern as well.
Very much so.
Another big event coming to Avon Lake, the solar eclipse.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So lots of information going on. I'm proud of the city for the information that we've
Yeah.
gotten out there in education.
Yep.
I mean, not just for the festivities, but also safety.
Sure. Aaron Fatch has been doing a wonderful job. We have been planning this for well over a year. And I say we because, this has been administration, it's been council, it's been other organizations, and Aaron has done a great job in facilitating all of that. And we're obviously pumping out a lot of information. So we didn't plan the eclipse, but we're planning for the eclipse, right? Because it's here whether we like it or not.
Right.
People are going to come. And so we want to take advantage of this influx of people into our town and give a, shine a bright light on what Avon Lake really is and why everybody wants to be here.
Right.
And we want to involve our business community and, our families and our organizations in the event. And like I said, Aaron's been doing a great job of doing that. But our primary responsibility is safety. Mm-hmm. So our safety forces, police and fire, have been working diligently to make sure that we are prepared not only for the event, but any contingencies that may happen. And that takes a lot of work.
Right.
Especially when you consider the fact that all our surrounding communities are dealing with the same thing. So we can't just call up another city and say, hey, we need some help with something.
Right.
They're going to be in the same boat.
Right.
So this is where the planning comes in to be very important. And really, we're relying on the residents and our guests to do the right thing. And if they do the right thing, this will be a very successful event.
Right. And I think it's exciting. I mean, like you said, there's surrounding areas that, also will be part of the solar eclipse, but we get it a little bit longer and we are lakefront, so it's exciting.
We seem to be the focal point for especially the local media, right? They're focusing on Avon Lake, and that's fine. We love the spotlight because we think we'll shine brightly under it. At the same time, it does give you a little bit more to worry about when
right.
you have that kind of population coming to your town, but
right.
we're certainly preparing for it.
Right, absolutely. I know I was talking to a representative from the library, and I believe it was over a year ago, and all the hotels in the area were already booked.
Sure.
So, I mean, they're coming.
Well, we've got, I think we're up to 24 different states coming to Avon Lake that we know of.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And, we've got some major events planned on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Of course, Monday we have the big event at the Memorial Stadium, but there's things to do all weekend. So we want to make a weekend of it. We want it to be an event that people are going to remember. And if you're a young child and you can talk about, 30 years from now about the eclipse in Avon Lake.
Yeah.
It'll be a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the last one. It was a partial eclipse, and it was fun. It was fun. My favorite part was seeing everybody out, all the residents out, just with their lawn chairs and their glasses. So I'm looking forward to this one.
The big unknown, of course, is the weather.
Yes.
We're going to plan like it's going to be 65 and sunny. We're
yes.
cross our fingers and hope for good weather.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's all we can do.
It's all we can do. It's Northeast Ohio.
Yes, exactly. One other thing that we're heading into in April as well is the new trash contract.
Yes. So we are part of what's called the Lorraine Consortium for Trash. And what that is not only Avon Lake, but other municipalities go together and collectively are a stronger force to bid for contract trash services. So as part of that, there was, we submitted to this consortium what we wanted to see out of a trash contract. One of the big things we learned from the surveying the residents and speaking with the residents was that we wanted yard waste to not go into the dump, but go to a compost facility. So having put that in our bid specifications, that kind of limits who you're going to choose, but we felt that was important.
Right.
So based upon that and other things, we had two companies, I should say, that submitted bids, Rumpke, and the other was Kimball, which we currently have. Kimball was cheaper, and they offered actually some extras that we didn't have before into this new contract. Nice. So the actual cost over a year for this increase, and naturally inflation is going to cause increase. Utility costs go up, diesel, all that. But surprisingly, your total cost in a year is only going to go up about $33.
Oh, wow.
So even for the next 5 years, it's only going to be that $33 increase over what you were paying this past year.
So it's a fixed rate.
It's a fixed rate. You know what you're going to pay. And for those that always wanted a different size canister, we have 96, we have 64. Well, now they're offering the option of 32, which is small. But if you're a single family or a single person household and you throw away 1 or 2 bags a week, this might be. And you'll be receiving discounts over what you paid before if you go that route.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they're offering a 96-gallon yard waste container. So think about the large garbage can. You would get another one of those. You can dump your branches, your leaves, your grass clippings into that, and then they'll pick it up. And that's actually, nice. I think it's 78 cents cheaper per quarter to go that route.
Wow.
You can still throw out extra bags if you have them, but this is an option they're providing because obviously they can get through the city quicker if people utilize those. It's less work on the backs of our, the workers that have to do that. So this has advantages as well. So these are a couple of the new things that we have. All the old things we had are still in place. And again, for $33 a year, you're getting more service. And, that's an inflationary cost. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I like the yard waste not going to the landfill. And I know that, last year, we did the forum with the community residents and the survey, and that was a topic that was important to people.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and different size canisters. And the yard waste one, Again, when you put that into the contract, and we felt very important about that, that can eliminate one or two waste haulers because they don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
And that's fine. Avon Lake, obviously, that's important to them.
Yeah.
And we listen to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to point out, too, from the survey was a large majority of residents were happy with Kimball's service prior to the new contract. So that's good to hear, too.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they do a good job.
On the March election, which normally is in May, but now it's in March, so everybody knows that, March 19th. So the city has an issue on the ballot.
We do. So we have issue 2 on the ballot for this March. This is a paramedic renewal levy. It's for 5 years. It's not a new levy, it's just a renewal. And what we've seen over time is, and the fire chief provided me some information here, that our runs have doubled in the last 18 years. We have added additional firefighters. And so to keep up with that demand, our levy pays for roughly half of those operating expenses, and it pays up to 10 employees. So it's a significant part of what we do in Avon Lake is our paramedic services, and they do a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
So to keep that service where it is, and we've been very fortunate. The Avon Lake has supported these levies throughout the years. I think the last one was an 88% passage rate. And I think that's because people understand the importance of the levy. This levy will support up to 50% of our operating expenses. One thing that we did, we're buying a new ambulance. And one of the things we did was we used the old ARPA funds that we got through the COVID.
Okay.
We held on to some of that money, and we're using those ARPA funds to buy a new ambulance. So instead of taking it from the levy, which would support some of our operating, we're using another avenue to buy a new ambulance.
Nice.
So that doesn't increase our tax burden to the residents. So we're finding creative ways to support our public safety.
That's fantastic. So is that an additional ambulance? It's not replacing one, it's an additional ambulance?
It's an additional ambulance. We might keep the other one for a while, but they're certainly aging out.
I'm sure.
These are 12 years old, and so we try to get a lot of life out of them. We keep them going, but over time, naturally, any vehicle expense, it takes time. And actually, it takes like 2 years from the time that you order one of these before you get it in. So we have a vehicle replacement plan.
Okay.
We've done that, and now we're still waiting. We're hoping it's going to arrive this year in 2024.
Okay, fantastic. I know there's lots of specifications they need to add, and and it's definitely not a vehicle that we want breaking down.
No, we want them to show up when they need to be
Yes,
there. Right.
absolutely.
But this levy really supports all our fire services, and particularly, obviously, the paramedic services, which are so vital. And we have a highly ranked paramedic, program here in Avon Lake, and we just want to keep it that way. And we've been very fortunate the public has supported that.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we have such a high percentage of senior citizens in the city. It's important to amp up those services, and everybody else benefits from it, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows somebody who's had to utilize that service. And it's always gone very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of vehicles, let's move on to infrastructure.
Sure. Yeah, so infrastructure is one of those things that I felt like as a council person we need to do more of, and as mayor I want to make sure that we do. So this year, and I'm going to get my notes here just because I want to make sure I give you accurate information, we're spending a lot of money this year on infrastructure.
Okay.
Actually, it's going to be a record-setting year for how much we spend on infrastructure. So we're going to be, when we talk about infrastructure, first we talk about streets, we talk about bridges, we talk about parks, we talk about stormwater. Those are all encompass our infrastructure as well as our municipal buildings. We're going to be attacking all of those areas this year.
Okay.
So just in roads, we're going to be spending $7 million. That's going to include a repaving of 2 more portions of Walker Road, as well as a complete replacement of several roads throughout the city. $7 million, unfortunately, doesn't go far.
Right.
But we're spending that amount of money. We're also going to be spending $1 million to replace the bridge on Electric over Hyder Creek by City Hall.
Okay.
That bridge has been deemed to be needing repair, so we're going to be doing that as well. We're also going to be spending over $1 million on stormwater, mostly dealing with outfalls that go into the lake. So if you think about stormwater, rainwater in Avon Lake, it's got to go somewhere. It goes into our ditches, our stormwater, and there's 36 outfalls along the lake in Avon Lake where stormwater enters Lake Erie. So some of those have to be repaired over time. So we have 3 of those in a project that's going to be over $1 million. And then we're going to be spending about $1.5 million in our parks as well. So the big portion of that is going to be the replacement of the Avon Lake play space. So
Wonderful.
Alps will be replaced this year. It's going to be a beautiful destination park for everybody, and so we're really obviously looking forward to that,
yeah.
right? So, this is what we're doing this year. And so that's a combined, you're looking at well over $10 million in infrastructure work this year in Avon Lake.
And is that in budget?
It is in budget. And so we passed, the majority of this has already been passed through the temporary budget. We're going to be doing a permanent budget before April 1st. And then in addition to that, we're going to be amping up our maintenance of our roadways and some different things, cleaning out catch basins, repairing of catch basins, because one of the main jobs of any municipal government is taking care of the infrastructure. It's public safety and infrastructure. And
Right.
those are the things that we really focus on. And if we take care of those things, then we can move on to some of the other amenities. But we got to take care of our infrastructure
Yeah.
first.
Absolutely, especially being so close to Lake Erie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that will definitely make residents very happy.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Makes me happy.
Yeah, me too. The upcoming ward meetings in March, same format as in past years, the Ward 1 and 2, March 6th, and
Yep.
then 3 and 4 on the 13th.
That's correct. And so we're going to be a little bit eclipse focused on that, only because it's a big event and we want to make sure we're getting the information out as best we can. So we'll have our police chief there, our fire chief there, we'll have the director of public works, we'll have the director of community development, and of course we'll have Aaron Fatch, our recreation director, speaking. So it'll be focused on the eclipse, but we'll talk about plans and some of the things I mentioned for 2024 as well, we'll discuss. But it gives the opportunity for the residents to ask questions directly in a public venue, and then also they can talk to us afterwards privately if they have other questions. So it's just a great opportunity for the residents to get more information and ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that can't make the meetings, they can submit questions prior to the meetings, and their information is on the website for
That's
that.
correct, and
Yeah.
we'll answer those that way. And then, of course, it'll be recorded. So if you
Yeah.
can't watch it, you can come back and go on to ALC-TV
Yep.
and watch it.
Well, thanks so much for all this information. I do have a couple just get to know you kind of questions,
Sure.
if you be game.
Yeah.
Favorite way to unwind?
I like to walk in the parks. I've always been a big hiker, whether it's me walking by myself or taking my dogs in the park. That's my zen, right?
Yes.
To go out and walk in the woods. So that's why, and we have a great park here in Avon Lake for that, don't we?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's really right out my back door practically. So I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'll give a little plug for the Avon Lake Environmental Affairs Advisory Board programs through the library. In June, we're having Robert Brand return. He was here to talk about tree canopies last year, but this year he's actually going to be taking residents into COF and talk about forest bathing.
Oh, there
So
you go.
that'll be
That's
some-
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And anybody wants information for that on
That
the
park
city
is
website.
such a gem in the
Oh, my
middle of
goodness.
our town. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Favorite vacation spot?
Well, I just got back last year from Italy. I'd never
Oh,
been to
wow.
Italy before. I
Wow.
went with my daughter and son-in-law and 3 of my grandkids and my wife and I, and
Wow.
actually my son tagged along as well. So we spent about 2 weeks in Italy. So right now, that's my favorite spot.
Yeah.
Although I will say I enjoy our national parks. I've probably been to about 20 of our national parks
Yeah.
and always willing to go back. I just love that, the nature of it.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
But Italy was a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list thing, so that was fantastic.
Yeah, nice one to check off.
Yeah, I was very blessed to be able to go.
Yeah, and with your whole family too.
Yeah. And my son-in-law speaks Italian,
Oh, perfect.
and they've been there before. They honeymooned there, so it was a great opportunity for us to have our own tour guides to go
Yeah.
and spend some time in Italy.
Yeah,
It
that's
was great.
fantastic. Favorite memory as a kid in Avon Lake?
That's actually pretty easy. I love baseball, and playing baseball at Blesser Field
Yeah.
is something I still recall.
Yeah.
I still remember my old baseball coach, Guy Gamble. A little shout out to Guy Gamble, was my first baseball coach. I still remember playing baseball at Blesser Field.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, me too. Watching our kids. I love walking by there and seeing games and stopping and watching. Just it's a great pastime.
It
My
is.
favorite sport too. But
Yeah.
so favorite food.
Anything Italian?
Yep.
Yeah, I have Italian blood in me, and again, so pasta, pizza. You know,
Yes.
I'm probably not saying anything other people wouldn't say, but
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep. I get
Mm-hmm.
it. Yep. Favorite sport? You mentioned baseball. Is that your favorite sport?
Actually, football is my favorite sport.
Okay.
Yeah, I played football up through 9th grade and just love football. College football, NFL football, high school football. Yeah, I love all sports, but I
Yeah.
think if I had to rank them, football's probably my number one.
Okay. And your favorite sports teams?
Oh, they might be Cleveland.
No, I was gonna say.
Might be the Browns, the Guardians, and the Cavs, but yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Awesome. A project that you worked on as a council member that you feel proud of or most proud of?
Most proud of, it's kind of a behind the scenes one, but I instituted a study of our public works department because for a long time there was some lacking of equipment and things out there that I felt we could do provide them better tools to do their job and make their jobs more effective.
Right.
And so while that seems like a small thing, it actually energized us to replace an aging fleet, and we're currently still doing that, provide them with the tools to do their jobs. Because I believe if you give good people the right tools to do the job, it's success.
Right.
And so the idea of providing all that for them and giving them the tools to do their jobs, to me, that there's a lot of things we did, certainly, but I think that one, even though it's a little bit under the radar, is what I'm most proud of.
Right. That's fantastic. And that's probably the one that is most obvious to residents is the work of the Public Works Department.
Absolutely. They are like the face of the city,
Yeah.
right? When you think about out in the community and everything that goes on, that affects them directly.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And
And they're
so-
amazing. I mean, they not only do their city work, but they are, willing to jump in and do things with the library and with all the fun
Yeah.
events that go on. And
They do a great job.
Yeah.
I'm amazed they do as much as they do sometimes.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
do a great job.
Yep. All right. So we'll wrap up one with favorite event in Avon Lake.
Favorite event in Avon Lake?
Can
Wow.
past or recent?
Well, I mean, the Beer Fest was a lot of fun this past year. I think it was just maybe the weather and the crowds. That was great. The July 4th fireworks was fantastic. I always enjoyed going to different concerts in the city.
Yeah.
Those were always, I mean, I have a long list, I
Yeah.
guess. So I think it's just the culmination of all of those things that we do, that we provide to our residents. So I don't think I can pick really one.
Yeah.
I mean, even going to high school football games, those are fantastic. It's just that whole ambiance, right, of our city.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the events that you mentioned are free.
Yep. Price is right.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
They can call City Hall. My number is 440-930-4100, and I'll be available. I try to get back to everybody within 24 hours. I really endeavor to do that. If I fail, I apologize, but I always try to get back to people.
Yeah. All right. And more information on everything that we talked about on the city website. If you haven't checked out the city website, is a lot of information on there that's useful for residents and businesses, and that's avonlake.org.
A lot of good information there, and you can reach me through that as well, and my email too.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Jen.
Yeah,
Appreciate
looking
it.
forward to this year.
Always great talking with
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
you.
Subscribe to Avon Lake Matters wherever you get your podcasts, and check out the full podcast library at avonlake.org/podcast. If you have any topics of interest or people that you would like to have featured, please call us at 440-933-7677 or email us at digitalmedia@avonlake.org.